I'm going to be doing some yard cleanup in Grandpa's backyard here. And one of the things you need to do is move debris. Now, in order to move debris efficiently, you really need a dump truck. Now, obviously, I could just move the debris and be done with it, but it's a lot more fun to get this running first. And then we have an excuse to drive it around. So, that's going to be today's project. Now this is a ran-when park situation. Problem is, I don't know how long it's been parked. I think it drove about 5 years ago. So this should be an easy one. Hopefully it's not even seized. I'll give you the tour. We have a, let's say mid-60s Dodge truck. I don't actually know, I'm just calling it that. One flat tire, but it still looks like it's on the rim. And it's not buried in the ground too much, so we should be okay there. We have the dump bed, which is the whole point of this. Those tires look fine. No real problems there. The window's been open this whole time, so that's always good. So far, nothing's run out of it. We've got brake cleaner. It's always a good sign when you have a lot of starting fluid in a vehicle. Multiple cans, old oil filters, more starting fluid, and brake fluid. So pretty much everything should be fine in this truck. Yeah, that bottle of Jack's been sitting around for a while. We've got, it's a manual, so that's always good. It is 4-wheel drive, but I think the front axle's broken. And there's keys to the ignition. That's critical. Yeah, everything looks good here. A little bit of custom body work there. Body's pretty solid. We have all 6 tires accounted for, and it only looks like one's flat. So we're in real good shape here. Door doesn't open. See if it opens from the inside. Okay, that's going to be an inconvenience, but the passage door works, so we're okay. Figure since the key's in the ignition, I'll see if that can actually operate the door lock. Oh well, passenger side it is. Oh, here, let me show you something. Just noticed this fender repair. Appears to be some type of sheet metal screw maybe, going straight into the side, crushing the fender into the cowl area. I like that. That's nice. You'll never have to worry about the door hitting it, because obviously that was an issue because it is folded. Alrighty, we've got a motor. Heater hoses cut off. That's no big deal because I have a valve to close them. Those pulleys are rusty. It has been a while since this thing ran. Definitely not any time recently. I wonder if it turns over. There is a battery. I doubt it's any good, but it's there and it's disconnected, so there's a possibility it wasn't ruined. This is a load tester. I'm going to check out the battery. Basically, this is a voltmeter, but it runs through a resistor, so you actually put the battery under a load while you check the voltage, which is a good way to see if you really have a good battery or if it just looks good. And we have absolutely nothing. So this is a bad battery. I really like this turnbuckle battery tie-down thing. I'm going to have to steal that idea. You'll love this one. This positive cable, upside down, so the taper actually fits an undersized battery. Then you go down here, we've got a hose clamp holding the positive cable together. So that's a good sign. I'm noticing the negative cable is really close to the fan. Apparently it's been a little too close a few times. Yeah, that's run into the blade a bit. Wonder if I should check the brake fluid. Nah. Ooh. Alright, this is looking good. That's full up with antifreeze and it's green. So that's a good possibility. Let's take a look at this dipstick. It's a little below add, but not that far. And there's oil in it. Let me grab the fan and see if this motor turns. Oh, clutch fan, can't do that. Let's try it from the alternator pulley. Oh, that doesn't want to turn. That's not a good sign. So, slightly seized motor. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's look under the... Oh, no screw holding on the air filter. Oh, little mouse nest there. I don't see any live mice though, so we're okay with that. Well, does it move? It still moves free. That's something. Manual choke, that's nice. Alright, I'm going to put a wrench in that crank pulley and see if we get a little bit of movement here. Found a socket that fits and a wrench to drive it. So let's see if this motor turns over at all. Oh, it moved. Yeah, it was barely stuck. There's compression. That's a good sign. Oh yeah, more than one cylinder is compression. We're in good shape. So we'll throw a battery in and see what happens. Not only is this one labeled okay, I actually checked it with the load tester and it looked like it's okay. So we might have a working battery here. Found a boat tank with something in it. Hopefully it's gas. Nicely aged, of course. And we're going to go ahead and dump some in the carb and go for the gusto here. Found a nice rusty old soup can. These are nice because you can pinch the end, make yourself a nice little spout. So that way we can get the gas directly into all over the engine. So I'm going to try to get it mostly in the fuel bowl vent, so hopefully we fill up the bowl. And if you ever worked with old cars, you know you never want to use the gas that's in the tank because that's been there for a long time and you can cause yourself more problems. So what you want to do is disconnect the fuel line coming from the tank, probably after the fuel pump, before the carburetor. Let the fuel pump pump the old fuel out, put fresh fuel in the carburetor. That's your best bet. So I'm going to not do that at all and just put gas in the carb and try to run the old stuff that's in the tank. I really don't think it's more than 10 years old. Ooh, nope, that's rust colored. Still smells flammable, but yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to quite do that. That's just water. That's not fuel. I don't have any kind of fuel added to this, so I doubt it's actually going to start, but I'm going to try cranking it over. I did crank the choke all the way closed, so on the off chance it starts pumping some fuel, we might get something here. I'm not hopeful on that, but at least we'll see it spin, and that's something. Now I got to crawl through the cab. So it sounds like a Chrysler turning over with the gear whine of the starter, so that's going according to plan. Now I need something flammable in there because I doubt the ignition works. It looks like it's an old point system and they're probably corroded. Well, I found some gas near a chainsaw that looks the right color to be two-stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in and see what happens. Nothing else we can tell whether or not the... Oh yeah, that's nice and blue. Nothing else we can tell whether or not the ignition works. Yeah, that should be enough. Something should happen. Maybe I'll take the choke off. Might need some air at this point. Nothing. That's disappointing. I really didn't want to have to file the points. But that's where we're going next. So here we come, distributor. Luckily, this is a nice big bumper you can stand on. A little easier to get into than most. If you don't take them out, you don't need to reset them. They're probably okay as is. I like when these old trucks have nice seating available under the hood. It makes it more pleasant for when you have to work on something way in the back. And when you're filing points, it's going to take a while, so you might as well be comfortable. So I'm just going to relax here and do a little filing. Let's see what happens now. I'm going to throw the battery on a charger for a little bit and see if that helps, because it's cranking pretty slow. It's been on the charger for a little while. Let's give it another shot. Almost thought I heard something there. I think we might be actually getting somewhere here. That definitely sounds like it's about to go. Still something seems like we're not getting enough juice. Could be the battery's really not that good. Could be that hose clamped wire, which is really, really suspicious. Let's see if it's getting hot. It's not that hot. Not as hot as I expected to be if it's causing the problem. That terminal's a lot hotter. Usually heat will indicate a bad connection. Now that was nice. It means we have ignition is working, compression's working, all that good stuff. Just a matter of getting fuel in the carburetor in the right amount. And that should be easy because, you know, it's just a carburetor. Gonna let it charge a little more. It runs. Now let's see if we can move it. I think that's round enough to drive, so let's try it. Forgot I can't open this door. So since this motor's doing so well, I'm gonna do it right by finding a few stray bottles of motor oil and getting it back up into the safe zone. So really getting fancy here. And getting rid of old mismatched bottles of oil. Yep, that's definitely oil. Should be perfect. Might need a few more of these half full ones. When I was looking for motor oil, I found some brake fluid, so we're going to go ahead and check these brakes. The pedal didn't stick to the floor. Huh. That's, let's call that low. We'll say the fluid's a bit low. It's not like brakes are really that important right now. Done. Maybe adding oil was a bad idea. Brakes did something. They were low, but they did something. Adding fluid worked, apparently. Manual steering, gotta love it. Well, we drove it. Now I gotta put it to work. Hopefully it'll start back up again. It's done pretty good so far. We got a lot of smoke after we added oil to this thing. And the one thing you can't tell from where you're sitting is what it smelled like, because they don't have smell-o-vision on YouTube yet. Hopefully they never do, because that could get really bad. Anyway, it didn't smell like burning engine oil, and there were two fluids I added. I added engine oil and I added brake fluid. So I'm suspicious the brake fluid is getting sucked into the motor. So first thing, we're checking the brake level. Now I'd filled this up to the top. So let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely used a lot of fluid. Now these are vacuum power brakes. So we basically have a line that goes straight from the power booster to the motor into the intake. So I think what's happening is we're having fluid coming out the master cylinder into the booster, sucking through the intake and going into the motor, and that's where all the smoke comes from. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that line so at least the motor can't suck the brake fluid. We will still be losing brake fluid, and we will also lose our power brakes, but we should have some braking as long as fluid is still there. So it'll last for a little while. Now I've got the proper block off done, bolt shoved in the end of the hose, put the clamp on it and everything so it's secure. And I even popped the $10 for a new air filter. Now normally I go the right way and just take the air filter and blow it out backwards with an air hose to knock the debris out and call it good. But this one is so squished it'll never actually seal. So the air is just going around it. So I actually went and got a new one. Might as well try to keep this motor alive a little longer. And hopefully that smoke goes away with what we've done with the brake cylinder. I think I'm even going to find a bolt for the air cleaner so we can actually secure it on top, and it really works. Huh. Fancy. Let's see what happens now. Now obviously the point of this was that dump bed. And in case you haven't had a chance to play with a dump truck before, let me give you a quick overview of how it works. We have your standard controls here for your shifter and your transfer case. Right here is a Pto Drive Control, and that'll engage the hydraulic pump. Here we have the lever for the valve that does the actual motion of the bed, the up and down part, the good stuff. So let me show you below. There is the box that engages the PTO. It's driven off the transfer case. And here you see a shaft that drives up to the hydraulic pump. I've got the transfer case in neutral and the transmission in gear, and it's spinning. So right now, the transmission is driving the transfer case. That's not driving the wheels to have it neutral, but it is driving the hydraulic pump. So in theory, this bed should operate now. Now since this is entirely driven off the transfer case, you could change the speed of how the bed lifts. Right now I'm in first gear, which is why it's going incredibly slow. You can put this in fourth gear, really spin that transfer case, and it'll go up a lot faster. Because basically whatever your transmission output is doing, that's what your hydraulic pump is doing. I'm going to stop it here for now. We know it's working, and I still have stuff in the bed I don't want to dump. Let me, but I got enough room I can show you what's going on. All right, with the bed lifted up, you can see wood block to keep from dropping too far. Only on one side, not the other, so that's missing. But there's the drive shaft. It's driving the hydraulic pump. And there you can see the control rod that actually operates the valve on the side of the pump. And there we have the big old piston that does the work. Looks like we have some working gauges. The amp meter seems to be doing stuff. I've seen the speedometer pop up to 5. Oh, a few bumps. Temperature gauge seems to be working in some reasonable fashion. Oil pressure reads nothing, but we'll assume that's broken. Fuel shows about empty, but we'll assume that's broken too. So 3 out of 5 working gauges. One load done. Lots more to go. This thing is all functional and seems to do pretty decently, especially out here where it's intended to be used. So that's it for now. Got a working dump truck. I got to get to work. That part's not exactly fun, but this part was. So I hope you guys are having fun too, and we'll see you next time.